Hi Maker, I'm Angel with FleeceFun.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make a fleece tie quilt. Yes, it's no-sew and it's a great scrap buster, and there's not a lot of things that are wrong with this tutorial, except there is a lot of cutting. But I do have a workaround for you that I think you're gonna like. Let's get started. For this DIY, you will need 2 yards of fleece in color 1 and 2 yards of fleece in color 2, or you can just use scraps and add squares as you go. Scissors, rotary cutter, ruler, and mat, and Fleece Fun's free template available on FleeceFun.com. Another option is a Cricut Maker, rotary blade, fabric grip mat, and SVG file that is free and available on FleeceFun.com, again by filling out the form. For this project, I recommend no pill or blizzard fleece. Other kinds like minky and coral will shed too much and aren't meant for no-sew projects. For a blanket that is throw size, it's 10 by 6, which equals 60 squares total. For a child-sized blanket, you'll need 1.5 yards of fleece in each color for a blanket that is 8 by 5 squares or 40 squares total. Now, I know this is like one of my favorite tips, but because this is a tie blanket, it's pieces, meaning that you don't need to have large swaths of fabric all together, which means you can go to the remnant bin and you can save a lot of money. So if you're not like using anything from your stash and you're just starting out, for the love, check the remnant bin first, because the fabric there is half off and you don't need it in large sections, you just need it in little bits. So you could actually, save money and do that. And a lot of places, if that's also on sale, will put that on top of the remnant bin price. So you can get like a screaming deal. So just check the remnant bin. It's a good idea, okay? All right. Moving on, let's get started to cutting now. And you have a couple of different options here. You're welcome. How to make a tie blanket patchwork style instructions. Step 1, cut out the tie blanket squares. Print up and assemble the template. Make sure to cut out the black lines to make it easy to cut in between the fleece fringe. Using scissors or a rotary cutter, ruler, and mat, cut out the amount of squares you want. This is what it should look like all cut out. All right, so this SVG file is available and I use my Cricut Maker to cut it out. Now, I do realize there are a few flaws with it, but there really aren't tons. Part of it is that you do have to cut out the fabric so it'll fit in the Maker. But it does the majority of the cutting for you after that. And it really doesn't waste a lot of material because it's just a few little sections, because I've made it so it fits the maximum cutting width of it. So this is a good option for you, especially if, it's a lot of cutting, but I do have the PDF pattern for you. Yes, absolutely, you can do it that way and it works just as well too. So you do have different options here, but I am letting you know I am giving you this option just because I do think it will save you time. Another option, and much easier on the hands, is to use a fabric cutting machine like a Cricut Maker with a rotary blade to cut out the squares. Place it on the fabric grip mat and cut out using the free SVG file. Gently remove from the mat and repeat as needed. Tip: fleece makes the mat fuzzy and not sticky very quickly. Use baby wipes to clean it and get the stick back. All right, now that we have all those squares cut out, it's time to start tying. Step 2, tie the fleece patchwork quilt. Now that we have a pile of no-sew tie quilt squares ready to go, it's time to tie them. Take 2 squares and line them up next to each other. There are 6 ties on each side. Take 1 tie from each side directly across from each other. Start by tying left over right, then right over left. Pull the ties. The tie end is on the side of the opposite square. Continue to make the fleece tie blanket. You can make a checkerboard pattern or alternate colors how you want. Continue to add squares until your tie blanket is the size that you desire. Leave the edges as loose fringe. Okay, that looks great. Now, you have a couple of options when it comes to the edges. Step 3. Ways to modify a fleece tie quilt. You can modify the look of a quilt by changing the ends of the fleece fringe. Here's how it'll look with rounded edges. Here's how it looks with edges brought to a point. Here's how it looks when brought to a double point. It's a fun way to change the look for a bit. Another option is to cut out the squares and give them as a kit or a gift for someone. And that's it. You have this great tie blanket. It's a great scrap busters if you got a bunch of fleece sitting around, like if you have a fleece website and you make a bunch of stuff out of fleece and you still have lots of fleece leftovers. There's probably only one person like that. But you know, if you have a large stash and you've got different things from other projects, it is a great way to use up that fleece. And it's also great for donating. Hospitals, charities love fleece blankets. And so it's, you know, it eliminates waste. It helps get things out of your stash. I mean, there's multiple good things with this tutorial. It's, you know, great stuff going on. Now, a couple of other things. I have more tutorials for different kinds of fleece blankets at fleecefun.com. If you're looking for something else or this isn't quite what you're looking for, check me out. I probably got it for you, and I walk you through it with another video tutorial, just like this one. And I don't stutter as much either. If you like this tutorial, I have several more on fleecefun.com that I think you'll enjoy. I have a bunch of other fleece blanket patterns and tutorials to walk you through, so if this isn't quite the thing you're looking for, I'll probably have it over there. You should check it out. And there's a video tutorial along with it. Speaking of video tutorials, if you enjoyed this one, I would appreciate a thumbs up for my hard work here. And you know, while you're clicking stuff, hit the like and subscribe button so you can find more videos just like this from me when I post. Because I think you'd like them. Genuinely. Let me know in the comments below, do you like to surf or go through the remnant bin? Have you ever been through the remnant bin? That's a better question. I think you should try it. Join us.